The great hall of the Galactic Council glittered with light from 1,000 stars. Representatives of many alien species sat in their seats, their voices loud, their tones mocking. In the center of the hall stood Earth's envoy, a tall man with calm eyes and a quiet smile. He spoke of humanity's old legends, stories of mighty ships that could tear open the sky and bend reality itself. The aliens laughed, their voices echoing like thunder. Human fairy tales, one reptilian delegate sneered, his scales glinting in the light. Stories for children, hissed another, her eyes narrow and cold. Even the elder beings, those who had lived for centuries, shook their heads in disbelief. To them, humanity was still young, weak, and harmless. The idea that such a species could build ships of power greater than the Council itself was absurd, but the human envoy did not flinch. He kept his hands folded behind his back, his voice steady. Legends, he said, are more than stories. They are memories carried across time. They are truths wrapped in myth. The hall grew louder with laughter. The alien leaders whispered among themselves, amused at the thought that humans believed their own fantasies. As the meeting ended, the envoy left the chamber with measured steps. Behind his calm face, his thoughts burned. He remembered the secret words whispered in Earth's deepest command halls. He remembered the silent oath sworn by humanity's hidden guardians. The myths were not only tales, they were warnings. And soon, the galaxy would see the truth. Meanwhile, across the stars, ordinary humans lived their lives unaware of the Council's mockery. On distant colonies, farmers worked their fields, engineers built cities, and children learned history. They knew the old stories. They spoke of ships called threshold warships, vessels that could appear from nowhere and crush whole armadas. To them, it was folklore, bedtime tales spoken under the glow of distant suns. But for those in command, the legends were plans waiting to unfold. In the shadow of Saturn's rings, deep inside a hidden dock, enormous structures slept. They were covered with layers of shielding, wrapped in silence. No alien eye had seen them. No council sensor had pierced the veil. They waited in the dark like hunters beneath the ocean, silent, patient, and deadly. Back in the council hall, laughter still echoed in the memory of the human envoy. He sat aboard his shuttle as it drifted away from the alien capital. His aide whispered, "They do not believe us, sir." The envoy's smile returned, thin and sharp. "They are not meant to believe," he replied. "They are meant to be surprised." On the other side of the galaxy, rumors spread among alien fleets. Some captains swore they had seen shadows on their sensors near human space, shapes too large, too fast, too strange to be ordinary ships. But their reports were dismissed, labeled as glitches or fear-driven lies. Humans cannot build such things, the Council declared. Humans are dreamers, not warriors. And yet, in the secret depths of Earth's command, a voice spoke to the waiting fleet. "Hold your fire. Wait for the day. When the Council pushes too far, when they break the threshold, then you will rise." The giant vessels in the hidden dock pulsed faintly with energy, as if they were alive. Their legends had been mocked, their existence denied, but reality waited just beyond the veil, and when the day came, every alien who laughed would tremble. The envoy looked back once more at the star that housed the Council, his heart steady, his voice quiet. "They mocked our legends," he whispered to himself, "but legends are the armor of truth." And in the silence of space, a warship stirred. Across the galaxy, whispers began to rise. Not all aliens awed with comfort. Some captains remembered the way the human envoy's eyes never shook, never bent. It was the look of a man who carried a secret heavier than a star. In the dark halls of the Council, certain voices questioned the easy dismissal. "What if these humans are not lying?" murmured a crystalline being, its body glowing faintly. "What if the legends hold some truth?" But their warnings were drowned in more laughter. The powerful species of the Council believed strength was theirs alone. Yet in the quiet void near human space, strange signs appeared. Alien scouts reported distortions, shadows flickering across their instruments. One scout described a vast outline, like a mountain floating in space, then gone in a blink. Another swore she heard vibrations in her hull, as if something immense moved beside her unseen, but their commanders silenced them. "Do not fear shadows," they ordered. "Humans are weak dreamers, not gods." Still, the rumors spread like fire. Pirates who preyed on human convoys vanished without trace. Entire crews were found drifting, their ships burned cleanly through with no known weapon. The pirates' last logs carried terror in their voices. They came from nothing, one screamed before the recording ended. They tore us apart with light. Fear touched the edges of the Council's arrogance. Small fleets were sent near Earth to test its defenses. They found only merchant ships, colonies, and ordinary stations. But the more they searched, the more uneasy they became. It was too quiet, too peaceful, like a trap waiting to be sprung. Inside Earth's hidden command centers, human leaders watched the alien scouts with cold patience. They let them come close. They let them search. But never did they reveal what slept beneath the shadows of Saturn and beyond the edge of Neptune. The threshold warships, the ships of myth, remained silent. They were bound by an oath, not to rise until provoked, not to appear until humanity was threatened. Admiral, a woman with steel in her voice, stood before her staff and spoke. "Let them laugh. Let them call us liars," she said. "When they cross the line, when they touch the threshold, our legends will become their nightmares." But even among humans, not all were certain. Young officers questioned why they must hide their strength. "Why not show them now? Why not prove our power before they crush us?" one asked. The admiral shook her head, her gaze fixed on the stars. "Because a storm revealed too early loses its thunder, they must believe we are harmless. Only then will their pride bring them close enough for the strike." Meanwhile, the alien scouts continued their reports. They mocked the empty space, but their voices carried unease. One commander whispered to another, "It feels as if they are watching us." The other replied, "It is only your fear." Yet in the black ocean of space, something vast and patient listened. The Council's laughter began to weaken, not from belief but from doubt. They had mocked the humans too easily. Now suspicion crept into their councils, but arrogance is a chain, and they wore it proudly. "Even if they build ships, they cannot stand against us," declared one elder. "They will bow like every species before." The human envoy, watching from afar, smiled again. He knew the cracks of fear were forming. Every whisper, every rumor, every unexplained shadow was a seed. And when those seeds grew, the galaxy would taste fear, because the myths of Earth were not fading stories. They were sleeping giants. And soon the giants would wake. Long before the Council mocked humanity, Earth had already known fear. In the early days of space travel, a fleet of unknown predators descended upon the Sol system. They came without warning, ships cloaked in shadows, weapons sharper than anything humans had seen. Planets trembled, colonies screamed, and Earth realized survival would demand more than courage. It was then that humanity turned to its oldest legends, stories of vessels that could cross the void in a heartbeat, ships that could bend light and sound. Ancient myths told by sailors, warriors, and dreamers were not forgotten fairy tales. They were blueprints, fragments of truths hidden in time. Scientists, engineers, and visionaries took those myths and forged them into plans, and those plans became the Threshold Project. The Threshold Project was buried in secrecy, hidden even from allies. Its goal was simple yet impossible: to create ships that did not exist until they were needed. Warships that could hide between layers of reality, unseen by sensors, untouchable by weapons. And when summoned, they would tear through the void like legends reborn. For decades, humanity bled resources into this secret. While the Council mocked their weakness, Earth built in silence. Asteroids were hollowed into forges, moons turned into testing grounds. Saturn's rings hid entire shipyards veiled by illusions, and deep beyond Neptune, in the black edge of the system, prototypes slept. Few knew the truth. Generals whispered it as prophecy. Scientists guarded it with their lives. The ordinary people only heard fragments, bedtime stories that spoke of ships made of fire and shadow. To the galaxy, these stories were laughable. But to Earth, they were warnings carved into their bones. One human commander, gray-haired and battle-scarred, stood before the first completed Threshold warship. His voice broke the silence. "They will call this a myth. They will call us liars. But when the time comes, this ship will speak the truth." The warship pulsed with hidden power, its hull shimmering like liquid metal. It was less a machine and more a force of nature. Back in the present, alien spies uncovered scraps of old human myths. They laughed at stories of ships that vanish into nowhere. They shared jokes in their fleets, calling humans storytellers with no weapons. But a young alien officer could not shake his fear. What if their stories are not inventions, he asked. His captain silenced him. Do not think like a child. They are weak. And yet, in the quiet void beyond their sight, the threshold warships stirred. They remembered the oaths of their makers. They were not weapons of conquest. They were weapons of last resort. They would remain hidden until humanity's survival demanded their rise. The human envoy standing before Earth's secret council spoke with steel in his tone. The aliens think our stories are shadows, but shadows are cast by light. One day they will see the light. The Council of Earth nodded, their faces hard, their voices united. When they push us past the edge, when they laugh one time too many, then the myths will become reality. And in that moment, every hidden warship hummed as if in answer. Legends were not dead, legends were waiting, and the galaxy's arrogance was feeding the storm that would soon break. The silence of the stars broke when the council made its move. They were done with laughter, they wanted proof. A vast alien fleet gathered at the edge of human space, their ships bristling with weapons. Their leaders said it was only a patrol, but every being in the galaxy knew it was a test. The fleet was commanded by a proud admiral of the Dravaks, a reptilian race that ruled many sectors. He had crushed dozens of worlds, and he believed Earth would fall as easily as the others. Humans speak of myths, he sneered to his crew. Today we show them how myths burn. The alien fleet moved closer, crossing the line of human colonies. On the colony of New Horizon, alarms screamed. Families ran for shelters. Children clung to their parents. Small defense ships launched, brave but hopelessly outmatched. The alien fleet spread across the stars like a storm, blocking every path, their weapons locked all into the colony, their voices carried across open channels. Surrender, humans. Your stories cannot save you. Inside Earth's secret command center, the admirals watched. Their faces were still, but their eyes were sharp. It begins, one whispered. Orders were given, not with shouts, but with quiet certainty. Unseal the first threshold warship. Deep beneath the rings of Saturn, metal groaned as if the planet itself was waking. An enormous structure stirred, its hull wrapped in veils of bending light. For decades it had slept, waiting for this moment. Now engines flared with power no alien could imagine. The warship did not launch like an ordinary vessel, it appeared. One heartbeat it was not there. The next it tore open the void. The alien admiral laughed when the first human defense ships fell. His laughter died when his sensors screamed. Something impossible stood before his fleet, a ship larger than mountains, its surface alive with shifting energy. It did not move like metal. It moved like a living storm. Its weapons hummed with a sound that made even hardened soldiers tremble. What is that? The alien captain shouted, his voice cracking. His crew stared, their scales pale with fear. It matches no design, no code, no record, the admiral snarled. Destroy it. 1,000 alien weapons fired at once, beams and missiles slamming into the human ship. The void burned with light, the colony shook with thunder. When the fire cleared, the warship still stood, untouched. Its energy rippled like a shield made of reality itself. Then, with a single strike, it answered. A lance of pure light carved through 3 alien cruisers. They vanished in silence, erased from existence. Panic spread through the fleet, voices screaming over comms. This is not possible. It cannot be real. The human envoy, watching from orbit, whispered into his communicator, "Let them laugh now." The threshold warship moved forward, slow, deliberate. Every alien ship that stood in its path burned into nothing. The fleet that once mocked humanity broke into chaos. Some tried to flee, some tried to fight. All fell in fear. The colony of New Horizon watched from below. The people who once thought their legends were bedtime tales now saw the truth with their own eyes. Children whispered. The stories were real. Parents held their breath, tears in their eyes. For the first time, humanity's myth had stepped into reality. Back in the council, messengers rushed with broken transmissions. Leaders listened in silence, their arrogance cracking. The words of one terrified alien captain echoed through the chamber. They said these were legends, but I tell you, legends walk among the stars. And in the darkness of space, the Threshold warship turned its silent gaze toward the galaxy. It had awakened, and it was not alone. The destruction of the Dravax fleet shook the galaxy. Across star systems, whispers turned into shouts. The mighty council that had once mocked humanity now faced fear it had never known. For the first time, legends had walked out of the shadows and torn fleets apart. Messages from survivors spread like fire. "They appeared from nothing," one alien cried in a recording. "A single ship destroyed us as if we were insects." Another whispered before his signal cut, "They are not ships, they are nightmares given form." The council tried to silence these reports, but fear does not obey orders. It spread through traitors, pirates, even through the soldiers of great empires. In secret meetings, council leaders argued. Some demanded immediate war to crush Earth before more legends appeared. Others trembled, insisting they should retreat. One elder shouted, "If one warship can do this, how many more do they hide?" No one had an answer. Silence fell heavy in their halls, broken only by the sound of fear. Meanwhile, humanity remained quiet. The Threshold warship returned to its hidden dock, its weapons cold, its energy dim. The colony of New Horizons celebrated, yet Earth's leaders gave no statement. They let the galaxy drown in its own questions. They let doubt grow into terror, but the galaxy could not stop searching. Alien scouts risked their lives near human space, desperate for proof. Some vanished without a trace. Others returned broken, their ships scarred by forces they could not explain. One crew swore they saw not one ship, but many. Dark shapes drifting just beyond the edge of their vision. The council dismissed them, but the seed of fear grew deeper. In Earth's secret chambers, admirals watched in silence. They did not cheer, they did not boast. Instead, they studied the galaxy's reaction. "They will come again," one admiral said coldly. "They will come with greater numbers, with greater fire, and when they do, we will answer." The people of Earth heard only fragments. Children repeated the stories of New Horizon. "The myths are alive," they said with shining eyes. Parents whispered warnings. If the myths were real, so too would be the war that followed. In the farthest reaches of space, another Threshold warship stirred. It was not called by orders. It was called by destiny. Its core pulsed with power, waiting to be unleashed. The legends had spoken of many ships, hidden in places no one dared to look. The stars themselves seemed to hide their shadows, and now the shadows began to move. The galaxy stood on the edge of panic. The arrogant laughter that once filled the council halls was gone. In its place was fear, sharp and heavy. The alien admiral who had mocked humanity's myths was dead, his fleet scattered, and across the stars the question echoed, if one legend has risen, how many more are waiting? In the silence of Saturn's docks, a voice whispered among the human commanders, the galaxy does not yet know the truth. This was only the beginning. And in the distance, beyond the edge of known space, faint signals stirred as if other ships, other myths were waking. The council had tried to shatter human stories, but now reality itself was breaking under the weight of those stories. The galaxy would never laugh again. The galaxy held its breath. One warship had already shattered fleets, but the fear was not about one. It was about how many more waited in the dark. Every race whispered the same question. Was this only the first? The council gathered again, their chambers heavy with fear. Some demanded the extermination of humanity, others begged for peace. But before a decision could be made, the void itself began to answer. Across human space, the shadows trembled. Near Jupiter's moons, the air rippled with power. In the asteroid belts, rocks split open to reveal hidden docks. Beyond Neptune, vast shapes stirred where no eyes had ever looked. The Threshold Armada was waking. One by one, they appeared, not launched like ordinary ships, but manifesting as if the universe itself tore open to release them. Vessels the size of cities, their hulls glowing with shifting light, each one different, each one terrifying. Some carried wings of fire, others glimmered like black oceans, but all carried the same presence, power beyond imagination. Alien fleets scrambled, their sensors overwhelmed. "Count them," one commander cried, his voice breaking. "There are too many, too many." The numbers rose until they could not be counted. Dozens, hundreds, a storm of ships hidden for generations. The people of Earth watched from their colonies, awestruck. They had grown with the stories, and now they saw the truth. The legends their ancestors told were not fantasies, they were prophecies, and the prophecies were here. Children pointed at the sky, whispering, "The ships of the old tales." Elders wept, their hearts heavy with both pride and fear. The council's arrogance shattered, their leaders screamed for answers. How did the humans build this? How did we never see? But there was no answer, only silence. For the Armada was not built in arrogance, but in desperation. It was born from survival, from a people who knew they could never afford weakness. In the heart of the fleet, the first warship lit its weapons. It spoke not with words, but with presence. Every alien mind that sensed it felt the same message. We are here, we are real, we are ready. The alien fleets that once mocked humanity now fled. Ships turned in panic, their formations broken. Admirals shouted, but fear is stronger than orders. And everywhere the Armada moved, the void itself seemed to bend. The human envoy stood aboard a command station and whispered, "They laughed at our legends." His voice grew harder. Now those legends command the stars. And in the Black Sea of the galaxy, the Threshold Armada spread its wings, each ship a story made real, each legend a weapon forged from myth. The galaxy understood too late. The age of mocking was over. The age of humanity had begun. The galaxy could no longer laugh. Where once their voices had mocked, now silence filled the stars, the threshold. Armada moved like a storm across the void, each ship a reminder that humanity's myths were not fantasies, but weapons of destiny. The council trembled in their grand chamber. For centuries they had ruled unchallenged. Now they sat powerless, their fleets shattered, their pride broken. One elder whispered, "If this is their legend, what will their future become?" Across the stars, alien worlds fell silent as the Armada passed. They did not fire, they did not conquer, they simply were. Their presence was enough to break empires, because no race dared to stand against them. Fear became submission, and submission became respect. On Earth, the people watched broadcasts from across the galaxy. Children pointed at the sky, calling the Armada the ships of hope. Families wept, not from fear but from pride. They had been mocked, called dreamers, called weak. But now the galaxy itself bent beneath the weight of their legends. The human envoy returned to the council. This time there was no laughter. The alien delegates stared with wide eyes and silent mouths. He spoke slowly, his words like thunder. "You called our stories lies, you called our people weak, but legends are not lies, they are warnings, and now you will live under the truth of those warnings." The council dared not speak. Some bowed their heads, others looked away. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer the student of the stars, they were the masters. The galaxy that once ruled over them now stood in fear of them. The Armada spread across human space, guarding every colony, every world. Ships patrolled the edges of the void, their lights like burning suns. No enemy dared approach, no pirate dared whisper. The myths had become law, and law was enforced by warships that could not be stopped. In the quiet heart of the command station, the admiral spoke to her people. "We did not rise for conquest, we rose for survival." Her voice hardened. "But survival has given us power, and with power comes a choice." She turned to the galaxy map, glowing with countless stars. "They will either respect us, or they will fall before us." And so humanity's legends became reality. The bedtime stories once mocked by aliens now ruled the galaxy's future. The council, once mighty, now trembled like children. Every world carried the same memory. The day legends walked among them. The human envoy stood beneath the starlight and whispered words carried across generations. "They mocked our legends," he said, "but legends are the truths of tomorrow." The Armada glowed in the darkness, endless and eternal, and the galaxy knew its age had ended. A new age had begun, the age of humanity, forged from myth, sealed by warships, written in the stars.